Hello, sports fans. Welcome to gamblersWORLD.net's professional sportscast with Chip Chirimbes, Paul Bovi, and Jim Feist. We're going to be doing a little analysis on the NFL. And reminder to everybody that we do sell premium plays here, aside from the analysis we're giving here. And what you need to do is simply find any one of the 13 handicappers, a baker's dozen out there for you, and log on and follow the buy links. And you guys become big time winners as well. Paulie, congratulations on an excellent weekend in the NFL. I know that. And Jim, we just keep trotting along. And before we get any further, what do you guys think about the whole idea of the number one draft pick who's 2-16 as a starter now being sit down for a 34-year-old veteran? And of course, I'm talking about Bryce Young being benched and Andy Dalton now getting the start. Jim, what are you thinking about that development in the NFL?
Honestly, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I never thought Bryce Young should have been drafted one.
Yeah, he's even smaller than Tua, and look at what's happening to him. Paul, any comment on the idea that do you think they've given up on him completely?
Well, I don't think they've given up on him. It's just a reset, a pause, if you may. But certain coaches take an instant gratification outlook on things, and that's what this is. And certain coaches that just exercise more patience. So when you're looking at the instant gratification factor, you want a guy in there like Andy Dalton that's, I'm not going to say he's a proven winner, but he has proven he can win football games. So that's what this is all about.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting that the moment they announced it, the line dropped a full point. And they're playing, of course, Carolina's playing in Las Vegas against the Raiders. We're playing their first game. Jim, there's a really interesting game out there. And I know you have a key stat about this matchup between the Ravens, who are 0-2, going to Dallas, who got annihilated last week. And how do you see this one shaping up?
This is extremely interesting. Now, I had heard, and I don't remember who it was, that said that some reason Lamar Jackson has tremendous success against the NFC. And I heard this a couple of weeks ago. I didn't pay much attention to it. They weren't playing an NFC team. So then they go out and they lose that game last week, although they, in their losses, they played decently. I'm going to say early in the season, so nobody's really, or very few teams are really in shape. But then I checked with my good friend Marc Lawrence, and he told me that the number isn't 16-1 against the NFC. It's 20-1 against the NFC.
Wow.
I said, what? How can you have a stat like that? How's that possible? And it is. It's true. 20-1 against the NFC. So the theory is, and you can blow holes in this because I don't know the answer. The NFC doesn't see a player like him, and they don't get the practice against a guy like him.
Yeah.
And he kind of throws them all off kilter when he gets in the game and starts running around and doing crazy things. We know he's talented. I mean, there's no question about that. And they're well coached. Yeah, they started off 0-2. They're not happy. And now they're going against a team, which I'm not a big Jerry Jones fan. I think he screwed the team up for the last 27 years. But he has a lot of money. I'm not going to be able to criticize him. We all wish we had the kind of money he has, but they got absolutely annihilated last week. And we know that good teams that are home, unfavored, and get annihilated by, I think, 25 or 27 points or more, bounce back big time. So you have these two things going at each other, which is very difficult. And not all of us handicap by those kind of stats.
Right.
And I really don't. I use them. I look at them, of course. It's interesting. But it's blocking and tackling and coaching decisions, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a tough game to analyze.
Yeah.
I will say this. I don't know if we're supposed to give out free plays or not, but I'm going to bet the game over.
Okay. No, that's fine, Jim. We're looking actually for selections.
I'm just going to put the game out over because I don't really know what the hell's going to happen. It's hard to imagine that the Ravens are favored at Dallas after the way Dallas the last couple of years have played so many really good games at home. I don't like the Dallas team. I think they're short on some things. I think they should have done things in the offseason that they didn't do. But, that's a very difficult spot to go and win against somebody that's going to be really amped up.
It sure is. And off the game they had last week. Now, before I go to Paulie on his opinion, remember to give us a like and subscribe here. You'll be able to tune in anytime we've got an NFL game selections and an NCAA. Paulie, kind of an interesting matchup. I think the public is going to like Baltimore in this one because no team going 0-3 seems to be able to make it to the playoffs. Although that's pretty much predicated on a 16-game schedule, and the schedule now has been expanded to 17 games. So you can go 10-7 and still be able to make the playoffs if you start the season with 3 losses. Do you think the Ravens bounce back here?
First of all, I did have New Orleans on Sunday. I also had the under and the Dallas team total under. So I clicked on 2 out of 3. And one of the reasons is I knew that Dallas was overrated. They absolutely manhandled Deshaun Watson in the first game on the strength of those 2 tackles being out. They hit him 17 times, sacked him a bunch more, and the result was a win for the Dallas Cowboys. But let's be realistic. They lost some key pieces on their offensive line. Their running game stinks. They brought back Ezekiel Elliott. They really don't have any weapons beyond C.D. Lamb, unless you call Brandon Cook's a great weapon, which I don't think he is. The New Orleans Saints absolutely manhandled this team. Dallas, 19 points. And I will tell you, one of those touchdowns was very lucky. Somehow C.D. Lamb split 2 of defenders that was converging, that were converging on him, and went in for a long touchdown. Dak Prescott, 290-plus yards. One of those was that broken play, and then a dump off to Ezekiel Elliott where he escaped the sack, and he ran for 40 yards. So I just don't think this Dallas team is good at all. Foster Moreau, by the way, long touchdown, call back. He was wide open, tight end for New Orleans. It just wasn't even a contest. So I understand Dallas is getting a point at home, but I think it's reflective of the fact that the bookmakers know that they're just not a good football team. And this NFC East right now, I don't know. Philly looked certainly below expectations against Atlanta. You don't think Washington's going to win. You don't think the Giants are going to win. But these are 2 underperforming teams, and I'm going to look for Baltimore to bounce back here. 2 very disappointing losses that easily could have went their way, and I think they'll right the ship here and come out of Texas Stadium with a AT&T Stadium with a victory.
All right, I'm going to stay with you, Paul Bovi.
How much of the $60 million did Dak earn last week?
None of it. Paul, I want to stay with you because you seem to have an interest in the Colt Bear game, Indianapolis and Chicago. And how do you see that one shaping up?
All right. So, first of all, whatever the Bears have accomplished in these 2 games has been without the benefit of a running game. Swift has 24 carries for 48 yards. He was a 1,000-yard rusher last year. And if he's going to get it right, he's going to get it right against a Colt defense that has been shredded 2 consecutive games. The first by Cincinnati. Joe Mixon piled up 159 yards on 30 carries. And then last week, Josh Jacobs just ran through them. They tallied, Green Bay did 261 yards, I believe, and they were unable to stop Malik Willis, who went 11 of 13, I believe, 122 yards. He came into the game in his career 35 of 66, no touchdowns, 3 picks. So I just don't have a lot of faith in this defense. And then with 3 minutes to go in the third quarter, they lose to Forrest Buckner, who will be out. He's played a full season the last 3 years. He had 8 sacks last year, 7 passes defended. That's going to be a huge loss. And I just look, you know where this is going. I think the Bears are going to go into Indy and come out with a win as a very small dog.
All right, Paulie, thank you. Very disappointing what Richardson's done so far. He's had a number of picks and just doesn't seem to be able to get the ball in the end zone. Jim, comments on the Bears and Colts?
Well, nobody analyzes football games better than Paul does. And so when he says, I listen. Um, you got a kid, you got a rookie quarterback, but the other side, has also kind of a rookie quarterback too. He played some games last year, but he missed most of the year. He has a big arm. We all saw that. He can throw the ball 100 miles, but he's very inaccurate, and then you got to wonder why Steichen goes away from the running game, because their running attack seems to be what their strength is, but he hasn't stuck with it that much. But the Bears are tough. Now, the Bears covered last week, and a lot of that was due to that end zone or near end zone fumble by Houston. But they're tough. Defensively, they're a very tough team with a very young quarterback that's going to get better. He's a ton of talent, and he's going to grow. Now, the question is he getting the coaching? Excuse me. Is he getting the coaching that will help him grow? Because, we've all been around long enough to know that you can take a very talented quarterback and put him with a team that doesn't have good developmental coaching help there,
Right.
And really never really develop. I hope that's not the case for him, because he really is good. He just has to develop. I agree with Paul.
The way I see this game is I think I'm feeling like there's actually two rookie quarterbacks with the experience that Richardson didn't get last year.
Right.
And, rookie quarterbacks have trouble winning, and I think they have trouble scoring points. I think this game stays under the total, and that's how I look at it. The game I was looking at personally, and of course, this Bear game's it's a tough matchup when you don't have faith in offenses. But not having faith in offenses, think about what Carolina's doing. They dumped their quarterback, like we had mentioned. They're going to the Raiders, who put up a lot of points and gave up a lot of points, which to me was kind of surprising, considering Pierce is a defensive coach. But Andy Dalton's now at the helm for Carolina, and I don't know if the offense is going to be that much better. I mean, they scored 7, 6, 9, 0, 0, and 3 in 5 of their last 6 games. I think the game stays under the total as well. Jim, Raiders and Panthers. I mean, do you see any life out of the Panthers in this one at all?
Paul has a background in Wall Street and financial markets, and I thought when David Pepper bought into this team that his aggressive personality would really help develop it. To some degree, maybe he's a little too interfering, maybe a lot interfering. I thought that there was some potential with this team 2 years ago. I don't see it. Now, I do agree that you need to bench the kid because his confidence level has to be in the toilet. Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, he is a professional. He has played at high levels. He's done great things. No, he's not Tom Brady. He's not, but he can bring some stability to that offense. And the players can consider the players around him. They don't want to get destroyed every week.
Yeah.
And I think he gives them a little bit more confidence. I'm not enamored with either team, but I sure think the Panthers have a much better chance with him. Do I think they will cover? No. Do I think it's an underplay? Yes.
Okay. And Paulie, here we're coming to a situation again where my goodness, this team, 11 first downs is what they're averaging. They can't run the ball. A change was inevitable at quarterback. But like you said, you don't think that they've given up on Bryce as of yet. They're just giving him a little time to rest and reevaluate what's going on out there. Do you think Carolina with Dalton has a chance to win the game?
I do, because sometimes a team just needs a shot of adrenaline, and maybe he'll deliver that. I'm not sure, but the one thing I will say about Carolina, their run defense is really atrocious. I actually played both running backs this past Sunday for the Chargers against Carolina. I figured I'm going to get at least one, and a good chance at 2, and I got them both. I never like to do that unless I know I'm going to get one of them because they just carved them up, as was the case the week prior. So that scares me with playing the under here because there could definitely be some points. And I know the Raiders and Pierce will try to run the football, and they're likely to have a lot of success, which should pave the way for another respectable game by Minshew, who, by the way, went into the first half having thrown for only about 70 yards and he emerged having thrown for 270. So he just sliced up the Baltimore secondary in the second half. So I'm going to take a pass on the game. I could see it going over. There's a possibility of that just because of the defenses, and I think the Raiders are vulnerable, and as is Carolina. So I'm going to take a pass, though.
All right, thank you, Paulie. So everyone out there, what you can do right now is click your like and subscribe button, and then you can sit and get to our premier plays. Jim, you have anything special that you're working on this weekend, college or pros right now?
Well, mostly the pros. I like the Minnesota Vikings a lot. I like the way they're being coached. I think it's a great situation for them. I don't think Kansas City's going to do very well this week in their situation where they're going. It's last week, the last 2 weeks I've done very well. You know how that goes. You go up, you go down. But there was one thing I wanted to talk about. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that or not, but there's a great. We don't talk too much about coaches. We got Harbaugh against Tomlin, 2 tremendous coaches. I don't know how the hell Tomlin wins because he never has anybody at quarterback that you'd want at quarterback. And, of course, Herbert is very good, potentially very good. And Harbaugh is a tremendous coach. What do you think about when you get 2 coaches like this together? It's like a chess game. They're so smart. They know what to do with whatever talent they have. And it's like watching a chess game.
Yeah, for sure. And Paulie, you have anything on the site you want to mention to the public out there?
I'll just comment on what Jim just brought up. I'll tell you what I played in that game, and I think that's the way to go. It's a toss-up, but when you have a 35.5 point over and under, and you could grab points in a teaser with these 2 teams, I can't see this being a double-digit margin. Early in the week, I grabbed a teaser with the Chargers. I brought it up to 9 on a 7-point teaser, just because I just think it'll be a slugfest that's decided by 3 or a maximum of 7 points. With respect to the Chief game, I'm going to throw out a prop because I always like to do that. And this is a freebie. I think Kyle Pitts goes off, has a huge game against the Chiefs, who really struggle against the tight end. Likely in the first game against the Chiefs, went off 9 catches for 111 yards. And in this past game, the 3 tight ends for Cincinnati, 9 catches for 111 yards, but just in the first half. Now, unlike Cincinnati, Atlanta only has 1 target at tight end, and that's Kyle Pitts. And he has underperformed since he's been drafted, but I think he breaks out here. He should have at least 5 to 6 catches and go well over his yardage, which I played at 36.5. I think this is fair value at 44.5. So I think it's a bargain.
Thank you for that, Paulie. Jim, any final comments before we wrap it up?
Yeah, just one. It might sound funny, but it's actually true. If I was a bookmaker, I wouldn't want to book either one of you.
Thank you for that. Listen, we're all here at gamblersworld.net. Push the like button, and even more importantly, get our premier plays by following the buy link. For Jim Feist and for Paul Bovi, this is Chip Chirimbes saying we'll catch you again next week.